Welcome to The Topic on HCCTV and now live on Facebook and YouTube. Glad to have our live audiences with us this afternoon. We've got a great show for the next half hour. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notifications when shows like this are posted. And of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for doing so today. We're glad to present this show live to you in this format. If you're into audio podcasts, you can download all audio versions of our shows at hccs.edu/podcast. Okay, today on The Topic, we're talking the 50th anniversary of Houston Community College. Can you believe that? 2021 marks our 50th anniversary. And we're speaking today with some members of our HCC family about their journey with the college. First up, Willie Caldwell. She's been with Houston Community College literally from the beginning. She currently serves as the department chair for business technology. Willie, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great. How are you?
We're good. Good to see you on the show. First off, I want to check with you and give us an idea. You've been with the college as long as we've been in existence. When did you start? Where were you when you first started?
I started with the college on October the 4th, 1971.
Wow. Incredible.
And what happened was when I finished college, I wanted to come to Houston to work, and I put in applications for jobs. And they had a job opened with a young man named Dr. Joseph E. Champagne, who happened to be the very first president of Houston Community College. And of course, I got that job, and I started working for Dr. Champagne the moment I finished college, and had a long, wonderful journey there. And then he was selected to be the very first president of HCC, and I was working for him as an administrative assistant.
Willie, let me ask you this. When you first started, we had presidents and not chancellors. That's correct?
That's right. We had presidents. Yes. Okay. Presidents, not chancellors.
And you worked as an administrative assistant to him at that time?
I did. Absolutely.
And the work of administrative professionals has changed a lot over the last 50 years. What do you think are some of the biggest changes that have come through to the profession?
Some of the biggest changes that's come to the profession has been the technology. We've had a total change in technology. When I started, it was low technology, keyboarding, maybe a computer here or there, shorthand, different things like that. But now it's totally technology. You won't be able to move forward any place unless you know technology.
A lot of people can't imagine working at a work center, at your desk, in your office, wherever, without a computer in front of you. No. But when you first started, there weren't computers. Do you remember getting your first computer with HCC?
I do. I remember getting my first computer. I remember getting my first computerized typewriter.
Wow.
Yes.
And was that revolutionary when you got that? It was
revolutionary back in 1971. Absolutely. But then it evolved, and the next thing I received was a computer, and it was. And every one of these steps that you move forward, it's a learning curve.
Right, yeah.
It's almost like if you're not willing to learn, you will be left behind because you had to learn a new language, the computer language, totally.
When you first got that computer, I imagine, were you guys on a mainframe where you could communicate with people across the district, or was it on your own personal computer that you had to take everything and transfer it wherever?
At first, we were on a mainframe.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And that must have totally changed the workflow with doing everything.
It changed the workflow totally. And absolutely.
When you maybe just give us a list of the rundown of jobs that you've had at HCC, because I know you've had a lot of different ones.
I've had a lot of different kinds of jobs. At first, I moved over with Dr. Champagne I was his administrative assistant at the University of Houston. But when I moved over to Houston Community College, I worked for the first academic dean Dr. James Harding. And yes. So I had that job and also worked for a man named Mr. Ditto. And then in those jobs, they had you doing different, you had to learn different things. And of course, it was quite interesting and quite rewarding to be able to learn all of those different aspects of the job. And so,
what was the most rewarding job you've had so far? One that maybe your current job, or one that you look back and go, you know what, that's where I got to feel like I was doing the most for students. What was the most rewarding for you?
The most rewarding for me was when I started teaching part-time, being able to translate what I learned to my students. And you could see that in the students. You could see the joy in their faces when you would do those type of things. You would teach them and they would grasp it. And they did. And they really did. And it was very rewarding.
When you first started, from what I hear, HCC didn't have dedicated office buildings or campuses. We kind of functioned out of high schools, in spare rooms, strip centers, and all types of various buildings. Was that the case with your workstations?
Absolutely. You had to learn to adjust. You had to be pliable. You had to adjust to things.
Did you see the college expanding to where it is now? When you first started in 1971, did you think, maybe in 30 years, we're going to have, or 40 years, we're going to have more than 24 campuses, nearly 100,000 students, staff of about 6,000. Did you see it going in that direction from those first days?
No, I didn't. I just, I did not see it going in that direction. But I'm happy we did, because, we've been able to give so much, especially to our students and clients. We've been able to enhance and move forward.
Throughout your years, has the student body, we know the students have changed, but has the body of the students, the demographics, what they are, and have their types of students changed?
Absolutely. When I first started, we had the age group was different. We had from young to the elderly to senior citizen. It's just totally different now. And so now we have a lot, some of our elderly, young, middle age, all of that, all of it's like a melting pot, all of it's in one. And then we have to find ways to make sure that we meet the needs of all of those students.
Right.
It's a little challenging, but we do it.
We've been talking with Willie Caldwell. She's the department chair for business technology. Willie has been here since nearly day one of Houston Community College. Willie, it's always good to see you. It's been a long time since we've seen each other in person, but you're always a joy and a pleasure to talk to, and we wish you continued success, and we hope to see you soon in person.
Thank you. I'll be happy to be in person again. I will.
Oh, won't we all?
Yes.
Thank you, Willie.
Looking forward to that day. And thank you so much for this interview. For this opportunity to talk about my journey at HCC. And it has been a rewarding journey.
We appreciate everything you do, Willie. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we are going to take a short break. You're watching the live version of The Topic this afternoon. We'll be back. When we come back, we're going to talk with one of HCCTV's family members, talk about her journey at the college. Stay tuned. The Topic returns after this. Welcome back to The Topic. You're watching us live this afternoon on Facebook Live, and also welcome to our audience over on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us across all social media as Houston Community College District. You can watch us on a cable channel and also audio podcasts. Did you know we have those available? That's right. For every single show, you can download the audio versions of our shows at hccs.edu/podcast. Okay, Dr. Toni Rao-Southerlan, you may know her from HCCTV. She joined HCCTV more than 20 years ago, and she's also our operations manager. Along with that, she's an adjunct instructor, and she has been with the college for quite some time. Dr. Toni Rao joins us this afternoon. Toni, good to see you.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
So I want to ask you, how did you get started? Did you start at Houston Community College first or with HCCTV first? How did that work?
Actually, I started at Houston Community College. I started teaching adjunct here, actually in the audio department back then, because in the audio department, they had one class that had video with it. So I taught that while I was over at San Jack. And then after that, I got a phone call and asked me if I would be interested, a couple of years after that, if I'd be interested in coming to HCCTV to work with them. And so I thought about it and went, okay, I'll do that. And it was, so I joined them, in 1997.
And how long had HCCTV been around when you got there?
I believe they had been around for about 5 years, okay. 3 to 5 years before that.
And for folks who aren't aware, our current studio is located at 3100 Main, downtown Houston, in the basement. We've got a very large studio operations there. Toni, where was the studio when you first started?
It's what we used to call the CIS building. That it was distance ed is what it was. And it was in this building, and our studio was in a classroom that was painted all black, like, the black box theaters that we go to. That's what it reminded me of. When I walked in, I went, oh, black box theater for television. Okay. And and then there was a room off to the side where it had the control room. And I remember Jay Smith was one of the first people who worked for HCCTV. And he was like the soul man. You call it a one-man band. He was the one-man band. He'd have the camera set up, and then he'd go back there and go from camera to camera. It was pretty amazing.
What type of shows were you guys doing when you first started with HCCTV?
Oh, we did all kinds. I mean, it grew. At first, there were a lot of just talk shows because, that's kind of all you could do if you don't have a whole lot of personnel there. Yeah. But then we grew, and we started getting what we called at that time freelancers. Now they're contractors. And then we started adding more people. When we did that, we started doing more shows that were of the quality of, say, Channel 2, Channel 13, et cetera, because that's where I came from. I came from Channel 2 and 13 and also the network. So, I said, no, we gotta improve this. So we worked on, we got new equipment. We, did a lot of things. And so we did all kinds of new programs. I did a newsline, an HCC newsline for many years. And then we had The Hype, which was a student show. We had so many shows. I could tell you about all of them, but.
Well, it's funny how things have transformed, because you did Newsline, and now we've got Up to the Minute, which is kind of our daily newscast. It's a live show we do on from HCCTV, and it's done live on the web, on Facebook Live and YouTube now every morning. Let's talk about some of the things that were instituted when you first got here. So you had a black box studio. Eventually you moved to 3100 Main into a larger place, but you guys at one time got a mobile production truck.
Yes, we did. That was my baby. I felt like it was. Basically, also I used to do sports. And so I knew a lot about mobile production trucks. And there was a lot of requests to come and cover different things.
Right.
And the best way to do it at that time was a mobile production truck. So what we did is, I remember going all the way up to the New England area, and me and Jay Smith, and we went up there and saw this truck, and it was just an empty shell, but it, kind of like a van, really, more than a truck. And so we got that, and we had them, electronically put everything together the way it needs to be. Then we went in there and we put in all the equipment as best as we could, your switcher, your mixer, all the videotape at that time, because what we were going to do was do high school football.
Right.
Other things like that. So with high school football live, you
nothing like shooting a lot of the stars there, Toni.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Yeah, we had like I say, we played back. We were there. We played back what we just saw a few seconds ago. We did some really neat things as a college,
right.
Things that many others wouldn't have done.
You keep mentioning Jay, and I didn't have a chance to meet Jay, but the gentleman passed away some time back, and I know we've got a memoriam set up for him in our studio with his picture, and it looks like a vest he used to wear as well. Mm-hmm. And you also have a scholarship set up for him. Maybe you could tell the audience a bit about who Jay was and what he meant to HCCTV and about that scholarship.
Yes, it's the Jay Smith Scholarship. Basically, like I say, he was one of the very first people that worked for HCCTV. He worked for HCC even before that. Yeah. But Dr. Margaret Ford Fisher, Dr. Elaine Adams, and Dr. Earl Johnson were the three people that said, hey, we want a television station. And they got together and put this together. Mm-hmm. And so what happened is Jay was one of the first ones. He first was just audio visual, which was, just let's record a few things here and there. But he became the main person, the rock, you might say, for HCCTV to move forward. And like I say, he wore many hats.
Well,
so we have the scholarship for students who want to learn how to go to broadcasting and journalism and that kind of thing.
And that scholarship does help a lot of our students, the current students who work for HCCTV. If you hear lightning in the background, folks, it's because it's raining cats and dogs near downtown Houston right now. So that's my little side weather report for the live broadcast this afternoon. Toni, real briefly, we only got less than a minute left, but where do you see us going with HCCTV? We're now online, live, and what do you think is our next step?
Well, we are doing a lot of things, through Zoom, what we're doing right now. So I think that we're just moving forward with technology. A lot of things are done through Zoom and whatever. We have the podcast, the live podcast and video podcast. We still have that beautiful studio that we built in 3100 Main. We're just moving forward. We're moving forward with the technology.
And that's something we'll always be trying to keep up with. Dr. Toni Rao, Operations Manager for HCCTV, one of the co-hosts on Up to the Minute. Thanks for joining me this afternoon.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow live on Up to the Minute. We're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, we're going to meet with one of our college presidents who's been here for quite a while. And I believe when he first started, he was a counselor. He's going to tell us more about this, but I want to say that's the case. We're going to meet Dr. Zachary Hodges coming up next on the topic. Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. Thanks for joining us on this very rainy afternoon. We're live with this afternoon show. We're starting to do this now on Facebook Live. You can also watch us. We're streaming on YouTube as well. And of course, HCCTV. We thank you for joining us on there as well. Join us in social media at Houston Community College District. You can find us there in our audio podcast. They're on the web at hccs.edu/podcast. We are talking with a number of members of our HCC family about HCC's 50th anniversary. Next up, Dr. Zachary Hodges, president of the Northwest College. Dr. Hodges, welcome this afternoon.
Hey, Todd. Good to be here.
Now, I mentioned something going into the break. I seem to remember you told me when you first started, you were a counselor at HCC?
I did. I was the first campus-based counselor at Houston Community College. My start date was June 1, 1976.
And
so been a while.
Along the way, before you became president, which other roles did you play here at HCC?
I was a counselor at the Cy-Fair campus of Houston Community College. Then I became the part-time campus administrator and then the full-time campus administrator. And then I had the opportunity to switch to our Spring Branch, our Westchester campus, and become a campus director over there. And then when we had the reorganization of the college, I became dean of students at the Northwest College of Houston Community College. And then in president, I just celebrated my 26th year as president this in May. So quite a ride.
Well, congratulations on the 26 years. I remember when you celebrated that. I want to ask you, because one of the big things you guys have been doing out at the Northwest College, you've been heavily involved with developing the centers of entrepreneurship. Maybe you can give us some history behind that and how it got started.
Well, it really started about 14 years ago when a group of, it's a Sunday school class from Memorial Drive Presbyterian Church called New Spring, called me, and they wanted to make a difference in the north side of Spring Branch, and they really wanted to support and sustain small business development as an economic driver, for those communities, those underrepresented communities. So we started talking, and to me, and of course, I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship, never really thought about it. And then as we started talking about it, what we came up with was the idea of a business plan competition. They give me credit for that idea. I don't know where in the world it would have come from, but I'll take credit for it. And New Spring ran that operation for us for a number of years. It's like they had, we had a competition. First one was small, but we had key leaders in that community who, within New Spring that really wanted to make a difference with that community. And so we got started. We had all of these volunteers. We had students who submitted business plans, and each had 2 mentors, which is the same as it is today. So now it has evolved. That was the beginning of entrepreneurship at Houston Community College. It evolved, and Maya Dernovo at that point in time was my Dean of Workforce Development. Maya picked it up. Mary Spangler gave us a grant. We hired a full-time director for the center. And what I got right in that, and the reason I think it's been successful, is that what I understood was that entrepreneurs teach entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs coach and mentor entrepreneurs. Faculty don't love faculty, but entrepreneurs teach entrepreneurs. So that is our history. Entrepreneurs teaching entrepreneurs. And in our 14th year, it's now a citywide competition. It's a huge, huge success. First prize, $12,000. Second prize, $8,000. Third prize, $4,000. 2 honorable mention. We had over 100 applicants, 25 final teams. It's been a great, great ride. And as a result of that, we've created our Center for Entrepreneurship first at Northwest. Now we've extended it throughout the system.
And I know the Reagan-Bombs have been very involved with that Center for Entrepreneurship. They recently, in the past couple of years, made a large donation, and now the center has been named after them. And I know David Reagan-Baum is very instrumental in helping you guys out today.
Well, that's an interesting story. Yes, it's now the Glenda and David Reagan-Baum Center for Entrepreneurship. David was active in our foundation, and he and I had a conversation. He was a very successful businessman, sold his business, was looking for something to do. So I said, David, I got a deal for you. Why don't you become our entrepreneur in residence? And what I will do is I will give you a parking place and a cup of coffee and some place to sit. And he took me up on it. So he is an integral part of our program and leads the business plan competition. Now we have entrepreneurs in residence at other colleges. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for successful entrepreneurs to give back to the college. And he works harder than I do. So, what can I say?
One of the things I've had a chance to work with you guys for the business plan competition awards ceremony, right, and interview several of the participants in the business plan competition. And everyone I've talked to, and I've met a lot of people who didn't necessarily win the competition, but they said what they got as a reward was the experience, was the mentorship from the entrepreneurs in residence, and was the feedback from the rest of the team. So they all were appreciative of just being in this competition.
Well, you wouldn't believe how many students already have a bachelor's degree in business, maybe even in entrepreneurship. We had one student that went through the Harvard program and then came back and went through ours, and they said the Harvard program was around case studies. This was about my business and nurturing and growing and sustaining my business. So it made a big difference for me and was much better than my experience at Harvard. Yeah, these students, it's the grassroots. This country is based on supporting and sustaining the development of small businesses. That's where the jobs are. That's what Houston is.
Dr. Zachary Hodges, he's the president of HCC Northwest. He just celebrated 26 years as the president out there. Dr. Hodges, thanks for being here with us this afternoon for our first live edition of The Topic.
Thanks, Todd. Really appreciate it.
And thank all of you for joining us. By the way, folks, as we mentioned at the top of this show, this is today we're broadcasting live streaming on Facebook Live and on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. You can catch us there every week, same time for The Topic. Of course, you can also watch us on Houston Community College Television, better known as HCCTV, and you can find us there on your favorite cable channel. And we started, as Dr. Toni Rao mentioned earlier, we started with a podcast studio about a year and a half ago. We're now allowing all of our programming is available for you in audio versions at hccs.edu/podcast. That's going to wrap up our first live edition of The Topic this afternoon. I'm Todd Duplantis. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next week.